Got my lesson on IELTS, don't want to be late. Sorry sir, I'm not late, am I? I'm just in time. Long and short vowels class.
Alright, shall we start the class now, please?
Yes.
The class today is about long and short vowels. I assume you both know what a vowel is.
Yeah.
I would like to know what is long and a
We're
short
going to go
vowel.
into that, but let's look at what a vowel is. A, E, I, O, U. There is usually one extra letter which is considered also a vowel. Anyone know what it is?
Yeah, Y.
Y. So we'll do that with the Y. Now the reason with Y is at one point this would have been, say, an I. The language has changed, and some of those changes are not reflected in spelling, not reflected in the way we use the letters, the way we use the sounds. So A, E, I, O, U. Do you know how we determine what a vowel is?
From the sounding and not necessarily the lettering, sir, I reckon.
The way we determine a vowel is that if you say A, there's no obstruction in the mouth. The tongue is not moving around. E, I, O, U. So there's no obstruction in the mouth. The sound comes through the mouth relatively clearly, unlike consonants where you get obstruction, where the tongue moves around. So that's the difference. It's a matter of how the sound is produced. That is what makes the difference. Now, long and short vowels. Is this short vowel or a long vowel?
Long vowel.
It's a short vowel. Cat.
Cat.
You see, you're not spending too much time over pronouncing cat.
Cat.
So that's a short vowel. And is this a long vowel or a short vowel?
Short one, sir.
Short. It is short. So you can see that this is fit. You don't take too long in expressing it. And the same with these, which is fed. It's very quickly sounded. But this is a standard practice, so don't forget that. In some parts of this country or in America, they might pronounce this long. So be very careful. It's standard practice. And what about this? Let's use the O. Is that long or short?
Long.
And why is it long?
Because it's W.
Well, it's two vowels together, no matter about it being two in
Right,
words, it's two vowels.
So doesn't that depend on like the accent you're using? Like if you're from Scotland and that, and you say fid.
Well, I'm not sure quite they do that in Scotland, but it is the accent where you're from. It is determined by that. So you have two vowels, so that's food.
Yeah.
It's not short as in fed, fit, cat, food. It's expressed very long. It is a double. Now, any double vowel, now there are exceptions. I must make this point. There are always exceptions in English.
Right.
Any double vowel is usually a long vowel. It's called a diphthong. We won't go into that precisely at this moment, but any double vowel is a long vowel. Two vowels together. But there are two other ways you can determine a long vowel. What about this word?
Fell.
Fell.
Foul.
Fell.
Is it
Short.
long or short?
It's short.
It's a short one, sir, isn't it? Because the vowel is short.
Well, it would be, but commonly, if it's got two vowels at the end, it usually modifies the vowel in the middle, which in this case is E.
Fall.
You will find that you pronounce it quite often as a long vowel.
Don't know about that, so I normally just say fell down the street. Fell. I don't say fell down the street, I just say fell down the street.
It's common to make it along, but as a standard practice, not necessarily in every condition where there's two hours. If you do this, for example, let's have another example, and I want to say what you do. Are these long or short?
Short.
No, it's a longer one, sir, alright.
It's long because the E at the end, it's never sounded in most instances, but it modifies the vowel before it, which is the A. So this is hail.
Hail.
Not hell.
It's not
Hail.
Elvis, no, it's hail.
Hail. Then
Can you explain that word, hell?
how?
Hell, yeah.
This word or how?
The whole sentence.
If you were to use this word, you'd say, it's a very old word, in fact. So you say something like, hail, how are you today? But we don't use that very often. It's not used very often now.
I see,
yeah?
I see.
But it's also the same sound as this, but it's spelled differently with this hail. And hail is when you get drops of ice fall from the sky.
I see.
But they're pronounced in the same way, A and A.
I see, okay.
Yeah? And also, of course, a word like fail. The pronunciation, the sound is the same. So hail, hail and fail, they're pronounced the same way. As I said, any time that you get a double vowel, it's likely to be a long vowel. So double vowels together usually means a long vowel. In this case, the E at the end modifies the A.
So how does the Y fit in that then? I mean, I can see how the other letters get the sounds in that, but the Y,
Okay.
how does that become a vowel in that?
The Y has the same kind of, you might say holly, but in the times before, the Y was a relatively, the Y in fact was the letter they used to pronounce I maybe 500 years ago. So it's retained its original sound, yeah?
Holly. Holly isn't a name.
Holly can be a name.
Yeah.
Or holy. And what that does is you pronounce this as an I or an E at the end, which is slightly different, but it also makes this into a long vowel. It serves the same purpose as the E. So holy and holly would be pronounced in that way, as you would have with whole, which is modifies the O, so whole, rather than simply whole, which some people, you might say differently. But basically, the difference between long and short vowels, although this is about standard practice, don't forget that, and accents elsewhere, they might say it differently, but your point when you're learning English is to employ standard practice.
So I've got one final question. I mean, I get the long and short voweling concept and that, but you talked about standard practice and that. I mean, like, where does that standard practice come from? Who said? Was it like a grammarian or something, or something they decided in the dictionary?
Standard practice would be what would you, for the sake of a better word, what you would call the more educated person will be speaking, rather than distinguished by accents. Now, where does this accent come from? It's actually called the Middle England accent. The accent that, say, a broadcaster on English news would use is the standard practice. But it's called the Middle England accent. And why is that? Because It comes from London, it comes from areas around London, what we call the home counties, and it's called Middle English accent. It's the way, it was begun many centuries ago, but it was started in that way. And spelling also comes from the same area of this country. So we spell the way we do now because of uniformity, which came from Middle English. Another way of looking at it is simply Oxbridge accent, which is Oxford and Cambridge. Then you get standard practice. Now, of course, standard practice of Middle English is merely another form of another accent, but this is the one which is used in the teaching of English, and which most educated people in England would use.
Wow.
Right, thanks for that, sir. Top lesson,
right.
I must say.
Okay, finished.